How's it going, everybody? Martha Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 80. This issue came out in January of 1970, and we are looking at the return of the Chameleon. That's right, we haven't seen the Chameleon since Amazing Spider-Man issue 15, when the Chameleon teamed up with Craven. And so it's been quite some time since we've seen Chameleon. So what has the Chameleon been up to, and how is he going to strike in this issue? We're going to find all that out as we are looking at the return of the Chameleon. Today's title is On the Trail of the Chameleon. And as always, this is brought to you by Stan the Man Lee, who wrote this issue as well as he edited the issue. We have John Buscema and Jim Mooney doing the penciling and ink work, and we can't forget John Romita as well as, and then Sam Rosen. So we had quite a bit of a crew here contributing to this issue. Some of the classics as always. And now let's go ahead and dive into today's story. And we recall from the last two issues how Peter Parker has been worried about Gwen Stacy meeting up with Flash Thompson. And so that's going to be one of the first things we're going to look at here, as we see that Peter Parker is going to be visited by Harry Osborn, who is his roommate, as well as Flash Thompson, one of Peter Parker's oldest rivals from high school. And we know that as well that the whole thing was a big misunderstanding, but of course Peter Parker did not know that at this time. He really thought that Flash Thompson met up with Gwen Stacy and they were dating, but that's not the case. And so Flash Thompson has come over to Peter Parker's apartment to explain the entire situation, but as we see here, Peter Parker is going to pretty much lash out here. As we see right off the bat, he said, I'm not going to give you any word about it. I know you've been seeing Gwen right now, and you've been dating her, and I'm just not having it anymore. But all of a sudden, we see that Flash Thompson fesses up here. He said, hold it, hey, hold it, you nitwit. And he says, she only met me because she was worried about you. She thought I might know where you always disappear to. And so Peter Parker's like, man, what have I been doing? What am I doing? I almost revealed my secret identity. I almost revealed my superpowers and super strength by lashing out against Flash Thompson here. And so we see here that Peter Parker is, he pretty much apologizes to Flash Thompson for that, and he's going to start calling Gwen Stacy to see if she is available. And we see here that they're going to meet up at this museum here. It's an art exhibit. And Peter Parker, I mean, he went from feeling so bad, down in the dumps, to just one of the happiest men in the world, as he's now getting to go see Gwen Stacy in person. And so we see here that Harry Osborn and Flash Thompson, they were good enough friends to clear the situation, clear the story for Peter Parker. And we see here that Peter Parker thanks both guys, both friends. And now Peter Parker, he changes to Spider-Man so he can go and meet Gwen Stacy quicker that way. And so he swings across town and he visits her at the art exhibit here. And we notice that Peter Parker says, man, I look at all these paintings and they're beautiful, but we see Gwen Stacy, she's the masterpiece. And so we see here that Peter Parker meets up with Gwen Stacy, and Gwen's like, how in the world did you get here so quickly? And then Peter Parker's like, let's not worry about that. And Gwen's like, why are you looking at me like that? And he said, I've just missed you, Gwen. And they're about to kiss when all of a sudden Peter Parker sees Gwen's father, Captain Stacy. But Captain Stacy seems to be acting a little weird lately. It looks like he's walking weird. So something's going on, and we see here that Peter Parker's spider sense is going off, and all of a sudden we hear a cry for help as this woman is about to faint, and it looks like all of the paintings have been taken. They've been robbed out of the blue, right underneath their noses here. So we had the police arrive here, and they're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Peter Parker, in his mind, is saying someone robbed us, and the only person that I know who could have done it was Gwen's dad. But then when they get back to Gwen's place, they find that Gwen Stacy's father was actually at the house. So it wasn't Gwen Stacy's father, it was an imposter. But as we see here, it looks like Gwen Stacy's father must have been drugged or something, because he says, you know what, I'm feeling a little hazy. I don't know exactly what's been going on. I think I've been drugged. And so we see who exactly robbed that art exhibit. It was none other than Chameleon. That's right, the master of disguise here. He can take the form of any person here. Doesn't matter who it is, as long as the Chameleon looks at you, he can take your disguise. And he has a mask for every single person. And so that's exactly what we see here as the Chameleon makes his reappearance. Now, the main thing I didn't like about this issue here, as we see right here, they say that the Chameleon made his first appearance in issue number 2, and that's just not correct. He made his first appearance in issue number 1, so that's a mistake right there. But I'll let it pass here. But as we continue here, as we continue the story, we see that Peter Parker, he could not sleep during the night, and he kept thinking about, I got to clear Gwen Stacy's father. And so what he does here is he swings by the Daily Bugle. He talks with Joe Robertson here, and Joe Robertson's one of the few guys that trusts Spider-Man. And Spider-Man says, look, you need to put this in your newspaper that there is a transfer of $1 million worth of bonds. And so Joe Robertson agrees to it. And so as Spider-Man swings off here, we see the next day that there is this announcement of a bond transaction. And this is going to help Spider-Man capture the Chameleon here, as the Chameleon definitely is going to bite the bait here. And so we see here that we have Peter Parker, he's taking photos, and we see that Mr. Jameson here tells Peter Parker that he needs to leave and he needs to go find Spider-Man and take pictures of him. So that's exactly what he's going to do, but he changes to Spider-Man here, goes through the air duct. He thinks that the Chameleon is inside of this building, and lo and behold, Spider-Man is going to threaten all these officials here, all these high-ranking guys here, and he thinks that the Chameleon is in this room. We see that the police barge into the room with Mr. Jameson here, and we see here that Spider-Man had a false hunch here, and that the Chameleon definitely wasn't in that room. So he must be outside. And so Spider-Man goes back outside, and he's trying to figure out who exactly could the Chameleon be disguising himself as. And all of a sudden here, we see that Spider-Man definitely notices that this has to be the Chameleon. And there's a reason why, and that's because the Chameleon has taken the identity of Peter Parker. And only Spider-Man knows that. And then we see here that Spider-Man says, you chose the identity of the one person I knew you couldn't be. So that is one thing that Spider-Man, at the time, by saying that, if anybody would have got wind of that, he could have pretty much revealed that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. But I don't think anybody realized that at the time. I don't think anybody was listening. But we for sure know that the Chameleon has taken the identity of Peter Parker, and he's trying to get away. He tries to do this car kidnap here, and he basically takes the car, and Spider-Man's not going to let it happen. And so we see here that Spider-Man reveals that yes, this in fact was the Chameleon. He's the one that took all the paintings, and he's the one that tried to take the bonds as well. And so the Chameleon was captured here, and Spider-Man threatens JJJ here. We see Jameson here. He threatens Jameson by saying, you know what? I could have gone after you instead. I could have tried to yank your head off. I would have loved to see that. And we see right here that Jameson says, "Wait, how did you know that he wasn't Peter Parker?" And so we see here that Jameson is getting a little suspicious here, and Spider-Man says, "That's my secret, sweetie. And it's gonna stay my secret for as long as Spider-Man lives." And so that's how I end this issue. I hope you liked it. And we're going to look at a brand new villain next issue. His name is Kangaroo. I hope you're here to see that. And until next time, go ahead, give this video a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes out, and I will see y'all next time.